I just calculated that choosing the wrong retirement account cost me over $500,000. And the worst part? This mistake is so common that millions of Americans are making it right now without even knowing it. Welcome back to Cashflow Kingdom, where we break down personal finance so you can build real wealth. I'm going to share my biggest retirement blunder and show you exactly how to avoid losing hundreds of thousands like I did. By the end of this video, you'll know which retirement account to prioritize and why this decision matters more than almost anything else you'll do with your money. Let me break down the numbers that made me sick to my stomach. For 5 years in my 20s, I maxed out my traditional 401k instead of a Roth IRA. I thought I was being smart, getting that immediate tax deduction felt amazing. But here's what I didn't calculate: that $27,500 I saved over those 5 years, invested in a Roth instead, would have grown to over $500,000 tax-free by retirement. Instead, every penny of growth in my 401k will be taxed at ordinary income rates when I withdraw it. That's potentially 22% to 37% in taxes on $500,000. The difference between paying taxes on $27,500 now versus $500,000 later? That's my $500,000 mistake. And before you think this only applies to high earners, this math works at every income level because of compound growth. Most people think the choice between traditional and Roth accounts is just about when you pay taxes, now or later. But it's so much deeper than that. Traditional accounts give you a tax deduction today, but you'll pay ordinary income tax on every withdrawal in retirement. Roth accounts use after-tax dollars, but then everything grows completely tax-free forever. Here's the kicker most people miss: with a Roth, you're essentially getting the government to subsidize your investment gains. Think about it: if you put $6,000 into a Roth and it grows to $60,000, you never pay a dime in taxes on that $54,000 gain. But in a traditional account, you'd owe taxes on the entire $60,000 withdrawal. The younger you are, the more powerful this becomes because you have more time for tax-free compound growth. If you're under 35, listen carefully: Roth accounts are probably your best friend. Here's why the math almost always works in your favor. First, you're likely in a lower tax bracket now than you'll be in retirement, especially if you're building wealth successfully. Second, you have decades for tax-free growth to compound. Third, Roth IRAs have no required minimum distributions, so you can leave that money growing tax-free indefinitely. Even if you're in the same tax bracket now and in retirement, Roth still wins because you're paying taxes on the seed, not the harvest. But here's where I messed up: I got seduced by that immediate tax deduction. Saving $1,500 in taxes felt great, but it blinded me to the long-term cost. If you're young and choosing traditional accounts just for the tax break, you might be making the same expensive mistake I did. If this breakdown is helping you avoid my expensive mistake, hit that like button and subscribe for new money tips every Tuesday. Now, here's where it gets tricky: Roth IRAs have income limits. For 2024, you can't contribute directly if you make more than $153,000 single or $228,000 married. But don't worry, there's a perfectly legal workaround called the Backdoor Roth conversion. You contribute to a non-deductible traditional IRA, then immediately convert it to a Roth. It sounds complicated, but most brokerages can help you do this. The key is doing it quickly so there's minimal growth to be taxed during the conversion. I wish I'd learned about this strategy earlier because it would have let me continue Roth contributions even after my income grew. Remember, this isn't tax advice, I'm just sharing what I've learned, but this strategy has helped millions of higher earners access Roth benefits. Always consult with a tax professional for your specific situation. I don't want you to think Roth is always the answer. There are situations where traditional accounts win. If you're in a high tax bracket now and expect to be in a much lower one in retirement, traditional might be better. This often applies to high earners in their peak earning years who plan to retire to a lower cost area or have a pension that will put them in a lower bracket. Also, if your employer offers a 401k match, always get that match first. It's free money regardless of the account type. Some people also use traditional accounts strategically to stay under income thresholds for other tax benefits. The key is understanding your specific situation. But for most young people building wealth, Roth is the clear winner. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good, even if you're not sure. Starting with Roth is usually the safer choice. If you're watching this thinking, "Oh no, I've been doing it wrong," don't panic. You can fix this mistake, though it will cost you. The main strategy is called a Roth conversion. You move money from traditional accounts to Roth accounts and pay the taxes now. The question is how much to convert each year. You don't want to push yourself into a higher tax bracket, so most people do partial conversions over several years. This works especially well if you have a lower income year, like between jobs or early in your career. You can also use Roth conversions strategically in retirement before you start taking Social Security or required minimum distributions. The earlier you fix this, the more time you have for tax-free growth to make up for the conversion taxes you'll pay. If you're still young, don't beat yourself up, just switch to Roth going forward and consider small conversions when it makes sense. Here's exactly what I'm doing to fix my mistake and what you should consider too. First, all my new contributions go to Roth accounts, IRA, 401k Roth option if available, everything. Second, I'm doing strategic Roth conversions of about $20,000 per year to stay in my current tax bracket. It hurts to pay those taxes, but I'm thinking 20 to 30 years ahead. Third, I'm maxing out my HSA because it's actually the best retirement account, triple tax advantaged if you use it for medical expenses after age 65. Finally, I'm being more intentional about tax planning overall, working with a CPA to optimize my strategy. The key lesson? Don't just focus on saving money, focus on building tax-free wealth. That shift in thinking is worth hundreds of thousands over a lifetime. This isn't financial advice for your situation, but it's what I wish someone had told me 15 years ago. Look, I can't get back that $500,000, but you can avoid making the same mistake. The key takeaway is this: for most young people, Roth accounts beat traditional accounts because you're paying taxes on the seed instead of the harvest. Start with Roth, maximize those tax-free gains, and thank yourself in 30 years. What retirement account questions do you have? Drop them in the comments and I'll try to address them in future videos. And remember, none of this is personal financial advice, always consult with professionals for your specific situation. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next Tuesday for more strategies to build your cash flow kingdom.